It's that time of the year again when there's a premium event vehicle that you can grind for, and everybody's just taking out their pay-to-cheat vehicles and whatnot, and unfortunately I'm a little bit guilty of that. But hey, here's the good news though. I didn't exactly have a good time with this thing anyway. I'm getting over it. I'm gonna die doing this, aren't I? Gosh, son of a... Sure. Hey guys, it's Jim here. Welcome back to War Thunder. And I feel like this is a tradition at this point, when there's a new grind event vehicle and the first thing I take out is the KW1C. But hey, if you're here watching this and you're about to type in a hate comment about me using this thing, rest assured, watch the part where I talk about this thing's armor and everything, because even though I'm actually talking about how good this thing's armor is, many people don't realize I'm actually secretly dropping the weak spots of some of these vehicles. If you're here and you want to know how to destroy this thing, I suggest you pay attention. And what exactly is this thing? This is the KW1C, as you can see on the top as well as the title of the video. And it's basically the combination of the KV1 and the Panzer IV. And the best part is, it's the best of both worlds. Now first things first, armor. Like the KV1 Z5 on the Soviet Tech 3, near 75mm plate right here, that isn't really that well sloped. I mean, it's a little bit slow, but yeah, not really enough to bounce most shells that you come across. But the good news is that this 75mm is sitting underneath another 35mm, making this a 100mm slope at 30 degrees. Seems pretty strong, but unfortunately though, at battle rating 5.0, you will come across tanks that don't really give a shit. So the best thing you can do when you're playing this thing is to simply angle. And the good news though, like the KV1 Zis and unlike most heavy tanks or medium tanks or whatnot, there is no corner wedges, so I don't really have to worry about them penetrating some stupid spot right here or whatever. I can just angle this and even the 75mm sights right here, not a lot of guns can actually go right through this, so I'm really not too concerned at all. Now when you're playing this thing, there are a few weak spots that you need to keep in mind. Firstly, this hole right here, 75mm, even though it's sitting underneath another 25mm at 27 degrees, yeah, you should be able to go right through this, no problem. But unfortunately, if you can go right through this, that means this guy is not angled, and the question is, why didn't you just shoot this? And then another weak spot to be careful of is this right here, the window part right here, 75mm, that doesn't have any slope whatsoever, and then behind it is a 75mm plate, but then there's a window. So you should be able to go right through this. It's only 75mm, but I don't personally recommend it because of how small the window is. However, another weak spot that people don't really pay attention to is this thing right here, which is kinda understandable. Like, sometimes you see this thing is not really a good idea, especially if you constantly face T-34s and whatnot. But hey, 35mm plate right here, sitting on top of another 35mm plate right here, that is sitting on top of a very big hole in the 75mm plate. So even though this guy is actually angling in some way, yeah, you should be able to go right through this, no problem. Now if you're wondering, what about shooting the sides? You know, every time I shoot the sides, the fuel tank and all that just eats it, right? I think Gaijin listened to your cries, your pleas to nerf the KV1 in some way. Because every time I shoot the sides of the KV1, and even though the fuel tank's in the way, and I'm using shells that doesn't even have explosive mass in it or whatever, quite often I actually detonate these things fuel. Like, I'm not even joking. T-34 fuel shot, Sherman fuel shot, Panzer IV fuel shot. Not a single time did any of those happen where the fuel just detonates. Literally all the time where I get a fuel tank detonation, it's a KV-1. Unfortunately though, I suspect Gaijin has listened to your pleas and made the fuel tank a liability rather than internal armor. And then going up on the turret armor, it's 105mm at all angles, but unfortunately for 5.0 battle rating, it's really not protective in any way. So if you're playing this thing, all you have to do is just keep moving and moving and moving. But if you're facing this thing, what you can do is just wait for this guy to point the gun at you. And the reason is because this thing right here. This ages around the manlet armor. 105mm and doesn't have any slope at all, so that's something you need to keep in mind when you're playing this thing. But I'm really not too concerned about them shooting my turret because most of the time they don't really know about that. Well, now that I mention it, you probably do now. And it's mainly because of this thing right here, 105mm right here, sitting on top of the 105mm plate right here. Yeah. You are not getting through this anytime soon if you shoot the manlet armor right here. However, if you are facing this thing and you wait for the guy to point the gun at you, there's actually a little bit of a tiny spot right here. There's only 50mm right here. Now at 5.0 battle rating, you can definitely punch right through this. Although I would say it's a bit of a risk because it's kinda small, as you can see. And not to mention, due to volumetric and all that, sometimes it does penetrate. And even though you have explosive failure, at the most you probably just get like the commander or the loader and that's about it. Oh, here's the best thing you can do. When in doubt, knock the barrel out. And then moving on the firepower on this thing. Like I said, this vehicle is the best of both worlds of the KV-1 and the Panzer IV. You have the KV-1's armor, and you have the Panzer IV's gun. 75mm KWK-40 L48 cannon, which is the tank gun that was based on the Pak-40, inspired by the Pak-40, it's not a modified Pak-40, mind you. And of course, like the Panzer IV 75mm, this is a shell that will be firing the armor-piercing cap ballistic cap shell that pens up to 145mm of armor at point blank, with only 17 grams of explosive mass. Very devastating round and can definitely hold its own at 5.0, especially if you've been playing tanks like the Sherman 76mm and whatnot. This gun more or less perform the same. The only issue is that you don't have a lot of explosive mass. Now you do have access to APC, I say maybe bring 10 or so, but most of the time you'll be using the APC-BC shell, so... And of course the good news is that this thing is also using an MG34 instead of the Soviet DT-29, but unfortunately it's at the mercy of the turret, so my advice is bring a few heat or high explosive shells. And then moving on the other aspects of the gun, you can carry up to 80 rounds of ammunition. I just say please bring less because, like sure, most of the ammo will be stored down here, but if you bring all of them, there's going to be some up here as well, and it become a motorized explosive accident waiting to happen. And then the reloading rate on this thing, 6.2 seconds. Now granted I am running expert crew on with mixed out weapon reloading and tank commander leadership, but the good news is that at battle rating 5.0, your base reload is around 7.6 seconds, which is more or less on par with every other Sherman 76 and whatnot. But then again, this is the Panzer IV 75mm, not the Panthers 75mm. But it got guidance negative 6 degrees gun depression. Not exactly sure how this thing has a better gun depression than most Soviet tanks, but it is a little bit lacking, so that's something you need to keep in mind. And finally, no gun stabilizer, but it's really not a big deal, the gun doesn't really bounce that much. And so there you have it, this is the KV-1C or KW-1C756R. And for those people who actually click on this video and about to send a hate comment or whatever, I hope you've been paying attention because I did actually point out a few weak spots on this thing that you can actually exploit. But otherwise, your best bet, when in doubt, knock the barrel out. Okay? But anyway, let's take this thing out of the battle now. And hopefully the game can stop cucking me already. That's right, bro. Are you kidding me? No! Don't do it! I'm not in the mood for mercy. Ah! Shouldn't anything actually come down more? That's not moving remote.
Panzer, 11 Uhr, Entfernung 550 Meter. Getroffen! Ziel abgeschaltet! Panzergranate geladen.
You didn't know me to do that.
11 Uhr, Entfernung 950 Meter. Panzergranate geladen. Panzergranate geladen. Ziel zerstört! Panzergranate geladen.
Supposed to shoot him.
Panzergranate geladen. T34, 11 Uhr, Entfernung 300 Meter. Panzergranate geladen.
There we go. He's gonna come back in the plane, isn't he?
Panzergranate geladen! T-34, 1 Uhr, Entfernung 500 Meter! Ketten funktionsunfähig! Erste Aufstiege, Kürze! Ziel zerstört! Getriebe ausgefallen! Panzergranate geladen! Panzer, 5 Uhr, Entfernung 1000 Meter! Motor repariert! Ketten funktionsunfähig!
Come on, fix that track.
Es sind einsatzbereit! Panzer, 11 Uhr, Entfernung 650 Meter. Ziel beschädigt! Panzergranate geladen! Panzergranate geladen! Getriebe ausgefallen!
Oh boy. Another day, another awkward angle that I can't aim down.
Panzer, 11 Uhr, Entfernung 700 Meter. Kette getauscht!
There you go.
Ziel beschädigt! Ziel zerstört! Panzergranate geladen! Rückspiegelgeschossladen! Flakpanzer! 11 Uhr! Entfernung 800 Meter! Brenngranate geladen! Panzergranate
I'm not in the mood for mercy today.
Ziel zerstört! Kampfauftrag erfüllt!
Condemning them both sides.
Ziel zerstört! Panzergranate geladen!
Be careful doing it.
Ausgeschaltet! Panzergranate geladen!
I don't like this at all. I'm trying to get to B.
Another zone captured. Capture advantage. Panzergranate geladen! Ziel zerstört! Gewonnen getroffen! Getroffen!
What the hell are you doing,
Ziel
bro?
zerstört! Panzergranate geladen! Multiple strategic zones captured.
I know there's one more somewhere out here. I don't know how much can my heart take this time.
We've captured most of the strategic zones.
Okay, there's two of them. I have to be smart about this. Thank you for doing that. How the hell did you know I'm here? Yeah, fuck you too, buddy.
Panzergranate geladen.
Oof.